A letter from Shul Hawk of Kakan and Hawk Publishing to Demertha Awfully, Harborside Arms, City of Greyhawk. Dear Ms. Awfully, I have just finished reading your novella. It is quite charming for a first draft. I particularly enjoy how all the young wizards have familiars that symbolically represent the schools of magic in which they specialize. Yunterd, the Abjuration Mongoose, is my favorite. However, we here at Kakan and Hawk insist on verisimilitude in our publications, especially those aimed at a younger and thus more impressionable audience. To wit, please take under advisement the following constructive criticism. You have somewhat bungled your descriptions of the various goblinoids who help and hinder your protagonists during their journey. As a goblin myself, I can appreciate that many humans in the Flaneus have little direct experience with my kin, and our larger cousins especially. Nonetheless, caricatures based on stereotype and superstition can still be quite hurtful. Of particular note, a bugbear is neither a bug nor a bear. You may be thinking of an owlbear, which is both an owl and a bear, but a bugbear is simply one of the larger members of the goblinoid family. The thing you are describing is an umber hulk, which is a hulk, but may or may not be umber. They are also known to occur in shades of purple and violet. Also, a barghest is not a dog. This is an alarmingly common and offensive misconception that has its roots in Amberson's Of Beasts, Goblin, and Their Kin, a woefully outdated and inaccurate anthropological text which for some unfathomable reason is still considered an acceptable academic resource. I shall enclose a bibliography of more credible texts for you to draw on in the future. But beyond that, my recommendation to you as an aspiring writer is to go out into the world and get some new experiences of your own. Go on a journey, have an adventure, meet new and interesting sorts of people, and that will breathe life and truth into your work. I wish you much luck in the continued pursuit of your craft. With encouragement, Shul Hawk. P.S. In the interest of clarity, we are a no for the Phantasmagorical Adventures of Cecilia P. Featherwinkle, Volume 1, at this time.
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced. It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Goldeneye Drakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sarsimian, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Halbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmind with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
So, everyone, when last we departed from our game, we were talking about the information that had been given to you by one Yibdab, the goblin in the service of the Scarlet Brotherhood, whom you've convinced to help you because you've promised him revenge on one of the hobgoblin taskmasters that's been mean to him. So, I gave you all access to the map. You should all be able to see it now on Roll20. So this is the map of the area that the Scarlet Brotherhood and their various goblinoid servants are excavating. And as I described it last time, there is basically it's a section of jungle. There is a roughly 100 foot on each side black metal cube that hangs in the air about another 100 feet up in the air. Just hovering there over the jungle. That area has been cleared. So the area under it is completely devoid of trees and any major plant life, although probably didn't have a lot of heavy growth underneath it because it's in the shadow of this giant box. And then they're clearing some of the trees around it, although that's clearly an ongoing project. You'll see on the map that there are some areas where some stone, actual sort of pathways underneath and around the cube have been cleared. All of those are roughly 3-ish feet. The surface depth varies. The height of the surface forest floor varies, but on the overall, it's about 3 feet down to get to those flagstones. All the area that's been cleared of the forest, you'll see that there are things like there are little icons that represent piles of logs. Those are actual piles of logs. There's sections of trees that have been cut down.
I thought those were dead bodies.
Not as of yet. And
I thought there were sarcophagi.
all that terrain should be understood to be difficult terrain. So all the brown stuff you see, that's sort of reddish brown space, which is most of the area of the exposed map, that's all difficult terrain. It's uneven. It's full of stumps. There's detritus lying everywhere. Moving through it is slow going. So the cleared flagstones, the sections where they're cleared, are nice and easy to walk on. They're normal terrain. But everything else basically should be understood as difficult terrain. There are several different goblinoid work gangs. It's mostly groups of 3 to 4 goblins, maybe a bugbear or 2, being overseen by usually 2 or 3 hobgoblins at a time, that are working on the digging, on the clearing of stumps, on the cutting down of trees. This is an active archaeological dig, although it's maybe not. It's archaeological in the sense that they are trying to unearth what's here, and they are very interested in it. It's not comparable to like a contemporary archaeological dig in that they're not observing very careful scientific protocol. They're just trying to get what's there, right? As noted, there is a hippogriff that appears to be wounded and is chained up over in one corner of the map by some of the piles of logs. And then over in the far corner of the map, up the upper left, you will see that there are several of the goblinoids, and so there are figures that represent goblins. Those should be kind of obvious. There are figures that represent hobgoblins and bugbears. Telling the difference between those two is slightly difficult. The hobgoblins have spears. The bugbears have like morning stars or maces. But anything that's represented by an icon as opposed to a little figure is a named character. So there's 2 named hobgoblins and 1 named bugbear and a named barguest. And then there are 3 figures that are represented by initials because in general, I guess I'm defaulting to representing humans and demi-humans by their initials rather than having icons or figurines for them. I guess that's a little bit speciesist of me, and I should re-examine my assumptions there. It's more that I don't think that the human icons are as interesting as the goblinoid ones. So the expedition is led by 3 human Sul. They're the people that Yibdab has been referring to as his masters, and they're in charge, and he'll tell you that very clearly, that they're the people who are running things. And those 3 human Sul are Raihar Tretpo, Irnahim, Nareg, and Orn Lysiwa. And the goblinoids, the person who's in charge of the goblinoids in the overall, so the person at the top of the goblinoid command structure, is Commandant Usri Klab. That's the barguest. And each of the humans has a sort of a special bodyguard that is assigned to them, and that's Semer Upni, Damyi Omyad, and Beresu Gadri. And it's Beresu Gadri is the bugbear, and the other 2 are special hobgoblins, and he's a special bugbear. So that gives you kind of the rundown of the information that Yibdab would give you beforehand, right? Here's what's going on in the camp. Here are the main figures in the camp. Any questions?
Yeah, did you say the commandant was a barguest?
Yes.
That is like a dog, correct?
No, or at least there may be a version. A lot of D&D monsters go through slight variations from edition to edition, so I'm not going to tell you it's wrong, but here I'm using the 4th edition. The definition I know to be given in 4th edition, which is a Barghest is essentially a goblinoid werewolf. They they can be kind of a hobgoblin or a wolf, like maybe sort of a dire wolf, or kind of a fusion of the two. And they're not like cursed; they're like happy about the situation, right? So
that's not what I thought a Barghest was at all.
That's good that you clarified that, because I absolutely 100% thought it was just a big, demon dog thing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like a mega warg
with epaulets.
Thanks, second edition.
Maybe some kind of hat.
So, do we know anything about this circle in the middle?
So, looking at the map, right? Basically, at the clearing, there's one entrance to the clearing. Now, you can, it's just trees around there, so you can make an entrance somewhere else if you want to, if you're willing to sort of paw your way through the forest and risk running into some of the goblin scouts that are out there. You can do that. But there's one actual entrance where, like, the path that you encountered Yibdob on connects with the clearing. And that's here at the southern end, or from our point of view, looking at the map, the southern end. And that connects right to the longest section of uncovered flagstones, which leads up to a circle in roughly the middle of the clearing, very thoroughly the middle of the space underneath the hanging cube. That circle is raised. It's on like a sort of a set of steps that lead up to the circle. Right? It's like surrounded by a ring of steps that goes up probably about 5 feet to the top of the steps from the base, and appears to be at the center of what was a pathway of some, like a network of paths of some kind. And then on that circle is a insignia with these 4 triangles and 3 eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh. And is this all stuff we can see, or is this all stuff that Yibdob has described to us?
So as of right now, this is stuff that, like, he's described to you. He's willing to draw you a map. The point at which you get close enough to examine it for yourselves is the point at which I'd like to mention some stuff. So far, I've just given you this information in preparation for you going up and looking at it yourself, but you haven't actually said, and now we want to go look at it ourselves.
Okay.
Well, at the end of I think the last thing that happened was that I did a little face shifting.
Yes, you turned into a generic Soul, right?
Yep. Probably like a woman of about Rakashi's build with like red hair. That's a Soul thing.
It is a Soul thing, yes.
I borrowed Yibdob's tabard.
Right.
So my plan is to go do a little light scouting, but if anyone has anything they want to discuss first about this, for the record, terrible plan, I'm all ears.
Given that we're only seeing, 2 humanoids?
3.
3.
You mean 3 humans, and then, technically all these creatures are humanoids.
Right.
Goblinoids are humanoids, but
3 humans. I gotta figure even the lowliest of goblins can count that as more than 3 humans.
Yeah, that definitely altered my plans a little bit, but I'm gonna keep it up just in case.
Yeah, Yibdob can confirm there are only 3 humans on this expedition.
Okay.
Would it make more sense for Rikashi to go as like a goblin? All goblins look the same to these guys, right?
So, I think that it's probably safe to assume that all goblins look the same to the Soul.
Right.
No
but
question
not to the
about
other
that.
goblins.
I think there's an understanding that goblins can distinguish between other goblins.
Right.
Yes.
Technically, I don't think I can pull off goblin because they're small.
Mm-hmm.
Goblins are small, hobgoblins and bugbears are not.
Yeah. So, I can't do Yibdob, which would be probably our best bet.
Can you look like specific people?
Yes.
Can you look like Yibdob's boss?
You need to see him, I think?
Yeah, I don't think I can see him from here.
Rikashi is a ninja, though, right?
Yeah, my plan is mostly to sneak, and then if I get spotted, rely on confusion and bluster.
That makes a lot of sense to me, right?
So maybe starting out as the generic Soul, and then if you get close enough to see one of the hobgoblins, you could reface as a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's a solid plan.
Yes. Does anyone have anything specific they want to learn about this awful mess that I'm going to walk into?
I mean,
yeah, like how did they find their way here? Is there any connection to the
right, maps. We were going after maps.
Oh yeah, those maps.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
Yeah,
so
the map was the thing you were initially interested in, I think.
Yeah, so I think actually my plan, which looking at this map is not ideal, would be to sneak up to these tents in the back.
Yeah, the tents are specifically the where the VIPs are staying.
Yeah, so I think my plan is to try and get over there and rifle through their shit.
I mean, we could go around, stay in the forest and go around. We don't have to walk completely through the camp to do that.
That's definitely plan A.
You could always release the Hippogriff and cause some problems.
Yes, you can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Once again, reminding us that we are a party without a ranger or a druid or even a bard.
I am all about pulling a Harry Potter.
So Simeon is a little bit of a bard.
A little bit.
Well, in any case, I'm leaving animal husbandry to you idiots, and I'm going to try and do the sneaky part all the way around back.
I'm actually very smart.
Yeah, let's reserve the release the Hippogriff until shit starts to actually go down.
Oh yeah, absolutely, sure. Hopefully stuff doesn't go down.
Yeah, so if there's nothing else we want to establish, I think I'm going to try and essentially just skirt the whole place through the woods.
Okay, make a stealth roll if you would.
Ooh, before you head off, Balmo tips his tankard in Rikashi's direction and says, "May the foam be with you." So that's a Harmony of Arathis, a +2 to your next attack roll or skill or ability check.
That's good. She gives him just a little salute and then disappears, hopefully, into the woods. Yeah, that's a 33.
Whoa.
Yeah, you would need to encounter a named character in order to have any problem with that roll, and you're not going to. So you can basically... Rikashi definitely does encounter a few of the goblin scouts and, just completely sneaks past them very thoroughly. They look like idiots. So you want to go around to the other side of the camp, right?
Yep.
To where... This is literally the opposite side of where the party roughly is. Mm-hmm. And you can see from the map that all three of the tents are kind of backed up against the tree line there.
So I'm probably going to go... there's one tent that's farthest east, if this is indeed east, that has more goblinoids but fewer bar guests. So I'm probably gonna try and just sneak under the canvas from the woods.
Yes, of the three tents, this is the only one that unambiguously is out of the line of sight of the bar guest. So I can see that as a reason for going there first. So you sort of have to wait. I assume. This is still daylight, right? You haven't waited for nightfall.
Mm-mm.
No,
I don't believe so.
So
haven't we though?
If you want to wait for nightfall, that's
How far are we from nightfall?
Well,
yeah, I guess it's morning
now,
now,
when it was still the morning.
It's like dawn.
Yeah. Well, it's past dawn now, but you're still you're well before midday.
Yeah, I guess probably it's better to get this shit done while they're off actually doing work.
Yeah, and before they notice that Yibdab is missing.
Yeah. So in we go.
Okay, so you have to sort of wait and time it right so that the other goblins in the area of the tent aren't obviously looking and that sort of thing. But as I said, it's right up against the tree lines, so the opportunity is certainly there. Once inside, it's a fairly large tent, the size of like a small apartment, basically. It has It's very well appointed for a traveling tent. It's got some nice carpets down on the ground. Bed.
They really tie the room together.
Yes. A bed with some fancy pillows. There's a nice tea set, brazier. There's a desk with a whole bunch of books and some scrolls and some other stuff on it.
Probably scrolls is the first thing I want to look at.
Okay. Seconds.
And yes, I am looking for pictures first.
So most of this stuff is arcane material. A lot of it's written in Draconic. There's various things that you know, Rikashi's been around the block. She probably has a sense of something that looks like magical notations. There's stuff that looks to be magical diagrams and that kind of stuff. So it looks to be wizardy, or at least magey stuff. Let's see. What's the search roll here? There's like a spot, isn't there?
Perception?
Is there investigate?
Perception, that's what I'm thinking.
Perception.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not great at that, but I still got a 25.
Hey.
Okay. You're looking for maps, and you can find two maps. One is a rough map of the coastline of this island, which Yibdab had mentioned was in production. It's something that the masters had been working on while they sailed around the island before they landed and then burned the ships. It's not finished, but it gives you a general sense of the rough shape of the island. There's a different map, though, which, let me see. This map looks to have been printed. Like it's not a hand-drawn map. It's like something that was once hand-drawn and was then reproduced. It's pretty large. See, rolled up, it's probably about 2 feet long, and then unrolled more like 4. So yeah, it's about 2 by 4, I guess. Let me see if I can quickly upload this to the Slack. But this is a full map of the Isle of Dread.
Huh.
So this is, it's not necessarily the most detailed, and in fact, I'm certainly not going to promise you that everything or even necessarily anything on it is accurate. But yeah. And for those of you listening at home, this map is actually a canonical WotC, or maybe it's a Paizo production. It was printed, I think, in Dungeon Magazine N number of years ago. But if you Google D&D Isle of Dread map, it's the one with all the pretty pictures on it, so it's probably going to stand out. Okay, I just uploaded it to the Slack. You should be able to see it.
It's got a dinosaur on it, yeah.
Oh yeah, dinosaurs, rocks, hippogriffs.
Actually, many dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of dinosaurs on the Isle of Dread.
Is that a big-ass tree in the middle?
It's a big-ass tree.
It's a tree house.
I believe it's an Ewok village.
It is an Ewok
I was
village.
going to say it's either an Ewok village or an atomic bomb. So
or Lothlorien.
Oh yeah, it looks sort of like a mushroom cloud. Yeah, no, it's a little people live in tree houses here. Picture for your reference, the map you have of the island you're on, cross-referenced with this map, pretty quickly shows you that that Monster Island, which we've already established is what the locals call this island, is the westernmost, or rather, I'm sorry, on this map actually it shows compass rose with north being left.
side.
But anyways, it's the leftmost, or I guess based on this compass, the northernmost. I'm not promising you that this compass is accurate. The leftmost of the isle chain down off of the right-hand peninsula. See how there's like 2 kind of peninsulas down at the bottom of the island?
Gotcha.
And then there's a bunch of...
Are you trying to tell us that Monster Island is a misnomer? And it's actually a peninsula?
No, because there's an island that's off of the island of the peninsula, right?
I see the.
I was just making sure you weren't going for the full Simpsons reference.
Oh,
but you said the right peninsula.
The right-hand peninsula.
So
Has
the
a little island off it.
It has a bunch of islands off it.
Yeah.
The thing that's like kitty corner to the little village near Farshore.
It's near Farshore. Like, if you look at the compass rose, right?
Yeah. It's right to
Go
the side.
right from the compass rose, the first thing you hit.
From south.
Oh, it's
Yep.
going left. Yep.
It's by the sinking ship, not by the squid.
It's by the sinking ship, not by the squid, yes.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of this then.
Yeah.
There's a
Yes,
lot of
this...
There's a lot of this.
For reference, and this map does actually include a scale, so that's convenient. For reference, this is a area of land roughly like slightly larger than Sicily and a little smaller than Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
If that gives you any sense of scope.
It does not, but okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Long Island is a thing. People have a general sense of how big Long Island is.
I'm saying I would not necessarily
Well,
have
taking
known
the
that
train
Sicily
there.
was smaller than Long Island. Shorter, sure, based on the name, but
Okay, so do I read that scale correctly as 6 miles? Is the little section there?
I believe that's right.
Okay, so the island that we're on is the size of at least a big town, and the island to the north, the big island, is like the size of a state.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. You could have a perfectly respectable US state that was this big. It wouldn't be a
So
big
not
state.
so bigger than Delaware.
Yes. You're on an island chain bigger than Delaware. That is true.
so it's like a 1.2 Delawares.
I think it might be a whole 2 Delawares, actually. I have to check the square mileage on Delaware. But
So,
yeah, basically the Isle of Dread proper is enormous.
Okay.
Rakashi takes a very long, like, not a long look, I suppose, because that would really involve more studying than I'm trying to convey. A very long glance at this map and the fact that there are a variety of awful beasts and some weird cryptic messages on it, and then just rolls it and every other scroll she can grab up, pockets them, takes a long look at the brazier, thinking about Arson, decides against Arson, and ducks back out of the tent and into the woods.
It's definitely a bit early for Arson.
Yeah, Arson's more of a nighttime activity.
So I just checked, by the way, and Delaware is 1981 square miles, whereas the Isle of Dread is a little over 20,000. So it's 10 times the size of Delaware.
Ah, there we go. I
Wow.
don't
Question
have
and answer.
that sense of
As-
Delaware scale.
These guys give as a scale reference Ireland, which is much easier for me to imagine somehow.
Okay.
Well, it's not stuck to anything else.
I remember calculating this and thinking that Ireland wasn't the best comparison, but okay. It's actually even possible because there are several different canonical maps. And while this is the one I'm giving you because it's the one with the least detail on it, and it's also the most artfully interesting, it's not the one that I've been working off of the most. So it's not impossible that there's a completely different scale on the two maps because D&D, man,
Yep.
bad consistency between publications. But in any event, I'll hold to whatever I'm giving you now. That's fine. It's big.
It's big.
That's the point.
Yeah.
It's big. Big enough you could have probably a couple of healthy sized cities on it and they wouldn't be crowded. Okay, so since you need to now make it back, make me a second stealth roll, Rakashi.
20. Not a natural 20, just a total of 20.
1 second. Ooh, okay. That's going to get interesting.
That never sounds good.
As you re-enter the forest, which way do you go to circle back? Circle right or circle left?
Right. Right is the shorter path that doesn't take me past the bosses. So that way.
Okay. You hear some shouting once you're in the forest. I mean, you're already in the forest. It's not like there's immediate... You're not like made the second you step outside the tent. But there's definitely some shouting, some clamoring. Eventually, you can make out some words in Goblin. We heard something this way. Find them, report back, that kind of thing. So there's definitely a sense that someone has seen something and is investigating the forest.
Never don't Arson. I'm gonna head just sort of straight, and I'm gonna say north just based on this map.
Sure.
North for a bit, and try to lose them, but also just gain enough distance that if I have to interact with them, it's not going to be audible from the camp.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm gonna trek northward, and then if they're still after me by the time I get that far, I'm gonna go up a tree.
Okay.
Oh.
Eventually, after you go a ways, you hear less noise, although still some rustling. You hear one of the noises, your noise, getting closer and climb the tree. You don't have to give me a climb roll because you have the spider climb ability. And once you're up the tree, you can see that there is a goblin scout down there looking around. It circles around the tree. It actually looks up into the tree. It doesn't see you very clearly. Eventually wanders off. So you've after a while, it seems clear you've evaded the search party.
And I give them, a good couple of minutes, and then try to head back.
Okay.
Giving the camp maybe a wider berth than before.
Mm-hmm. All right, you've successfully stolen those maps. You said you grabbed some other scrolls too, so just some other magical scrolls?
Yeah, just like the pile of scrolls.
Gotcha, because those all roll up together.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I just laid them flat.
There were probably at least a couple of scrolls that were on actual rollers, which makes it much more cumbersome to move them all at once. But anything that was not attached, it was just parchment.
Yeah.
You just sort of scooped up. I get it. Okay. All right. So Rakashi returns to the group.
What's your score?
So, okay. I've got good news and news that is not as good.
So what the good news?
The good news is that we have a map. The bad news is that I have looked at the map, and it is not good. The good news is bad.
Well, I mean, it's news. We know where we are. We know how to get where we want to go, right? So let's take a look at it.
Sure. I sort of find a clear spot on the ground, fish out the pile of scrolls. I suppose one of you wizards probably wants to look at this, and she waves like the rest of the scrolls at everyone.
I'll let you grab most of them. I'll take a peek at a couple.
So Simeon's going to definitely be looking at the map and trying to suss it out and see if he's heard anything about this place. Now that we have a name for it and sort of its location and some references to it, what is this Far Shore place? Is that a place I've heard of in history? I would like to make a history roll.
Make a history roll, man.
As he's doing that, Rakashi is leaning over his shoulder and she's like, so this thing is a big fucking squid, and I'm not fond of that. And this thing is some kind of lizard that is not... Look, I know about being some kind of lizard, okay? I realize that is a broad statement. But I don't like this one.
It's going to be at 27, Kelly.
Okay, so here's what you can sort of glean / remember, right? Because you're sort of trying to pull up old information. So now that you see the pictures of these giant lizard creatures, you're like, oh yeah, I think I remember hearing that there were some giant lizard creatures on the island of Dread, among other rumors about it, that it's infested with demons, and it's the ancient sort of center of the Olman culture, which is one of the ancient Flan cultures from before the Sul and Oridian peoples kind of overwhelmed the Flaneus. But that there's these terrible lizard monsters on the island. There's all these sea creatures around it. It makes it very dangerous to visit. And then when you see the name Far Shore, it does sort of ring a bell that there was maybe some kind of maybe a decade or two ago, there's supposed to have been some kind of a settlement somewhere deep in the south on an island. You don't remember it being specifically connected to the Isle of Dread, but that somebody sort of set out to create basically a Flanean colony in the Southern Ocean, south of Fleneus. And there was like some commerce with it, and people, some people said, yeah, it exists, and people moved there, and then eventually they lost contact. So that sort of rings a bell as something. It could have been a rumor, it could have been an accurate record of a real colony that just didn't make it.
Okay. Huh. Well, as I'm looking at the map, I'm kind of like saying all this stuff out loud as I'm sort of trying to remember to myself and remember to everybody else what I've heard about this thing. But otherwise, still puzzled.
And what the fuck is this thing? Is this like a dragon turtle? Is that a thing?
Dragon turtles are a thing.
This appears to be a bat with a triangle for a head.
Not a fan. This is like a fucking Gyarados over here.
This woman in the corner is appropriately attired for the climate, I'd say.
Yeah, I didn't dress for this. I'm gonna be lugging this coat around for weeks.
Oh, wait. What about this symbol here over on the right-hand side? What is that? The double-headed snake thing?
Oh. Yeah, any would a religion roll come in handy here?
Yes, please make a religion roll.
Okay.
I don't like how excited you were about that.
Twist, we really were in the abyss the whole time.
Are those tentacles? I can't tell what's going on there.
Oh!
What?
Oh no!
You did not.
Not again.
It's
Not again. Raiden,
Did you whiff again?
you're the worst cleeric.
another natural one, courtesy of Roll20.
Are we sure this guy is even really a priest?
He's just a dude with a
He's been
lot of
drinking
good
way
beer,
too much.
and you've all just
I
been
might just
feeling
be
really
the
good about
barman.
yourselves because he gets you
The
drunk.
problem is that he does most of his studying drunk and then most of his recollecting sober.
Oh my god.
Yeah, right. It's like a drunken master, except that for like information.
And backwards.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I could have used some of that Harmony of Arathis before I embarked on this.
So, again, Braden, Brother Balmo is very confident. That is obviously a native Stonecraft version of an image of Demogorgon, who is the lord of the 88th layer of the Abyss, lending further credence to the idea that we are in fact all trapped on the 88th layer of the Abyss.
That works problematically well.
Yeah,
I did.
yeah. It's got the little tentacles, the two heads. Yeah, that's Demogorgon.
I did not set out to do
Balmo
anything misleading with you guys. You just keep rolling once.
Balmo keeps rolling on.
Fair.
Yeah. Roll20 keeps rolling once. If I had my sparkly purple dice, you would all be singing a different tune. But the tune that Balmo is singing right now is in a very intense stage whisper. You all said we were not in the abyss. That is Demogorgon. We are in the abyss, the 88th level. Demogorgon is the lord of the 88th level of the abyss.
Demertha can't help but overhearing this and is like, are we in the abyss? You didn't tell me we were in the abyss. You said we were on an island. How can we be in the she's spiraling.
The jury is out vis-a-vis
I'm gonna
Abyss.
I'm gonna lean over and speak in a very comforting, calm voice. We are not in the abyss. You may have noticed that, and I'm gonna lower my voice a little bit. Balmo is known to partake of certain libations with a great frequency. He's gonna kind of look over his shoulder at Balmo. So, and then he's going to kind of make a calm down gesture with his hands. So just kind of, let's keep it, let's keep it 100.
Demertha is still unnerved, but she sort of nods and sort of understanding, like, yeah, he is clearly drunk all the time. Okay, anything else we want to say or resolve or do from the maps?
I mean, since we're looking or we're standing underneath this giant floating, it's like a black metal cube. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I want to be clear. you're still not, the party as a whole is still not close enough to see the cube.
Oh, I thought we could see the cube from a distance because it floats.
Not through the trees.
Oh.
Because the tree canopy is pretty heavy. I'm very interested in you going to look at the cube, but you haven't actually I've been waiting for you to tell me to do that because that will trigger certain things.
Let's go look at the cube.
Can confirm there is a cube. Can also confirm do not want to go there.
All right, but I think there's interest in going close enough to see the cube for everybody else's self. Is that fair?
Yes, absolutely.
No.
Okay, so that's what you can do. And do with some safety, I might add. I mean, as long as you're being careful and watching out for the goblin patrols, you go off of the path a little bit and you go sort of towards the clearing. And before you come into view at all, you can see through the tree line, there's the cube. So once the party has reached that point, the rest of the members of the party can see the cube. And the cube is there. It's a big black metal cube. It's clearly kind of weathered. Doesn't look really damaged, but it is clearly worn. It's just hanging in the air over the jungle.
How high?
It's about 100 feet on a side, and the base is about 100 feet off the ground, give or take.
Okay.
So it's roughly as far up in the air as it is tall.
Okay.
When Latchkey sees that cube, Latchkey experiences a flashback.
Okay.
The flashback is of, it's from their perspective, entering a forest clearing that is much larger than the one that Yibdab drew for you on the map. And it's very nicely paved and sort of basically picture like a very well manicured lawn. So like the trees open, and there's very low level ground cover. So like not grass, but something jungly equivalent. A network of stone paths across that lawn, including the little raised dais with the 3-eye insignia on it. Some complexes around the exterior of the lawn before the tree line that are various like maybe holding cells, maybe like spaces in a zoo if Latchkey. There's a zoo in Greyhawk probably, so something like that. Through the bars, Latchkey can see like an albino owlbear, definitely see the froghemoth in another one of them, a few other strange monsters in the distance. That black cube doesn't look worn at all. The black exterior is actually somewhat shiny and clearly new. And the cube is slowly spinning counterclockwise, whereas now it just hangs there still in the present. But in this flashback, it's spinning slowly. In the flashback, Latchkey walks up the flagstones, approaches the dais, walks to the top of the dais, and a white stream of light comes down out of a circular aperture in the base of the cube. And Latchkey has an awareness that that's like how you get inside. And that is the end of the flashback.
Oh.
Latchkey says, we remember this object.
You what?
Indeed. And yet, we do have a recollection of this place and that cube when they were younger and newer.
Which personality is active right now, Kacey?
The purple.
Purple, okay. And we've established, I think, that Latchkey can't necessarily differentiate memories from before they were one being based on which artifact was at which site, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible, like, from context, you know, like, if they're being used in some manner or... Sure. But not necessarily in like, oh, that was that guy's memory.
This was more like they were present for something kind of thing. They weren't actively used, so.
Right. There is a means of getting inside that cube. It was open when we were last here, but we cannot say how it was opened.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a cube. We're in the abyss. There's Cenobites in there.
Okay, so Pokemon and Hellraiser references.
I definitely agree with Balmo up to the point where he started talking gibberish.
So, the beginning.
Yeah, the no cube part.
I like the idea of the cube.
Yeah, you would.
Well, I mean, when's the last time somebody laid eyes on the inside of it, right? I mean, Latchkey, how long ago was that?
A very, very long time ago, before we were ourselves.
Okay, I can see the outside of it, and it's just a cube.
Oh, another benefit of this flashback, Latchkey, is that you got a very good up-close view of that sigil on the top of the dais.
Okay.
And so Latchkey in the present should be able to make some sense that those three eyes are all different, not necessarily going to be obvious from the little map that Ibdab drew you, and that one of them is definitely a goat eye, and one of them is a lion eye, and one of them is at least credible as a dragon eye.
Mm-hmm. We also think that the insignia on the dais there may have some connection with this chimera or chimera project. The eyes line up with the animals that would form a chimera.
So Simeon at this point is going to go inside his robe, take out the card of Callista, consider it for a bit, put it back in. I think we need to get in that cube. So did you do anything to get into the cube?
Whatever needed to be done to open it had already been done.
I want to be clear about a few things. The memory was in real time, or at least seemed to be in real time. So it's not like I'm cutting out a piece of information. There was sound. You could hear the birds chirping. So there wasn't any obvious passphrase or anything said.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed more like Latchkey stepped onto the dais and the portal opened.
It did open.
It let down the shaft of light, and Latchkey has the memory of disappearing, and then that's, presumably went in the cube.
So they kind of share all of that, the recollection that they perceived.
Well, now we definitely must go look at the cube.
I'm glad we're in agreement.
So, just so I'm clear on the order of events, you, at some point...
A portion of me.
Yes. Partial you approaches cube, stands under cube, disappears, and then there's nothing until here you are now.
And as you can see, Latchkey is right here and perfectly safe, so we know that nothing bad can happen.
Well, I don't know if that's the conclusion you can make from that, but yeah, I mean, they're totally fine.
Wizards.
Ash is going to snap after you say that and grin.
Well then.
Okay. Follow up to your terrible idea.
Brilliant idea.
Sure. Is that Yibber's map is right. There's all these individuals there, and I don't want to deal with that.
Indeed. Perhaps now would be the time for a significant distraction.
And you don't want to see the cube, so you're perfect to provide it.
I'm
see,
sorry.
Everyone can be happy.
This conversation just went backwards. What just happened?
You just agreed to perform a distraction for us.
Well, I was going to do Arson, but then I thought Ash is here, and that really does seem like sort of his thing. But I guess I could do Arson if you want. I
am willing to share.
There's the matter of the wounded and imprisoned Hippogriff.
Yeah, I'm not approaching that at all.
Yeah, I worry that letting it go might get it killed.
I just want to double check. Am I wrong to remember that in D&D terms, hippogriffs are like extra large jerks? That's what I remember.
Most fauna are jerks in D&D.
Right, but extra.
Because you want to be able to fight them.
Right.
But a hippogriff is like an alignment-based jerk, isn't it?
Are they intelligent?
I feel like in the like second edition manual or something, when you look up Hippogriff, it's like lots of people think that Hippogriff would be a cool mount because it's a cool looking like flying thing that you could ride, but it isn't because it's a jerk. Paraphrased.
Well, that's like saying like a bear is a jerk, right?
Well,
like,
then after we free the Hippogriff, we will not try to ride it.
You know, you make a good point.
Perhaps it will turn its jerky nature on its captors.
I feel like Ash is probably referencing an actual in-universe text. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. Ash is 100% convinced that hippogriffs are jerks in real life.
Can we look through the rest of the scrolls that Rikashi nicked and see if there's anything useful in there?
Sure. And for people who perform rituals and are arcane magic-y, there is stuff. This is like some stuff about rituals and stuff about spellcasting. This is like you stole a small portion of a mage's library, basically. And leafing through, just like magical stuff. Nothing obviously connected to the island or the environs, but there is one scroll that is in Flan. Does anybody speak Flan?
I think I do. Hang on.
I think that you do, Sir Simeon.
I do.
Okay, so there's one scroll that's in Flan. Flan has a character set that's somewhat analogous to Mayan, right? So kind of those rounded squares, pictograms.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're technically pictograms,
Glyphs.
but you know what I mean, like the glyphs. Mm-hmm. There we go, glyphs. There's a scroll here. It's damaged. It's only partial, but it seems to talk about the ancient Oman city of Thanaclan. And it was full of great wonders derived from the ancients, source of powerful magics and strange artifacts, sort of the gem of ancient Oman city civilization, Thanaclan. And that existed far to the south of all the other Oman settlements in the distant sea. All right, we're going to raid this sucker?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Okay. Tell me your plan.
So we can let the hippogriff loose and arson at the same time.
Gotcha. I can do arson.
If we arson in the north and we hippogriff in the south.
Oh.
I can waylay any approaching forces with little splishy splash.
We might be best to free the hippogriff as we may be able to communicate with it.
Are hippogriffs intelligent?
Oh,
they are.
They don't have language, but this personality has psionic advantage, which lets them send thoughts with any creature they can see. So I don't think it needs to have language.
Okay.
I like it.
Well, Latchkey is the only one that we're certain can get into the cube, though.
That seems unlikely because we wouldn't have been a person. Like, someone else had to have made it open.
But
you say things sometimes.
Whether or not we were a component of opening that was it wouldn't work without us, we cannot say, but we wouldn't have been the singular factor. But if someone else wants to try with the hippogriff, by all means.
No, I'm leaving that to you. Yibdob, do you want to come with me around the back? And we'll see if we can't grab your friend while we're setting everything on fire?
With pleasure.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, Demertha?
Dub is excited about the prospect of getting to beat this guy.
Balmo turns to Demertha and says, well, stay close by. I'll make sure you're safe, and we'll get out of this yet. Wherever we may be.
She looks sort of reassured and sort of wary, but nods and seems to be willing to go along with it. Okay, so I understand what Rikashi's doing. Rikashi's circling around back sort of where she was before and trying to set one or more of the tents on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, at least Latchkey, maybe other people, are going to go try to free that Hippogriff.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think by way of the woods rather than by way of the camp.
I assumed, yeah. I assume you want to operate as in the most difficult, the way that's most difficult to be seen for as long as you can.
Right.
What is there an attempt to time these things? Is there an attempt at an order? Tell me about your actual plan here.
I figure Arson will be visible from a distance and draw immediate attention.
Yeah, and that would be the signal.
Yeah.
So signal 1 is Arson. Is it then the Hippogriff and then a mad dash?
Then Hippogriff. Then we wait until there is a dash from them, right? Because we want to make sure that they are appropriately distracted and that we don't just go running straight into them, right? So once the people, I think, on the right-hand side of the map move over to the left-hand side of the map, that's when we go. So we should try, those who are working on the Hippogriff and or the rest of us, should try to move through the forest back to the entrance area. Rakashi should move from the back of the entrance towards the middle of the area, and then we can pincher the chimera symbol. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that works. At least, I mean, it's as good as we're going to get, I think.
And are you're going to wait for nightfall for this, or are you going to do it now?
I mean, distractions are definitely more...
Is there any advantage to nightfall? Like, do most of these guys have night vision anyway? Like, most of the species?
Goblins do, I think.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It's D&D where everybody can fucking see at night for no reason.
Except for humans.
Except for me. Well, half of them live underground.
It's true. That's a pretty good reason to see at night.
Yeah, it might actually be better to do this in the day since that's when the Hippogriff can see.
That's a good point. Considering, in general, goblinoids have low light vision, not dark vision. So that's better at night, but it's not.
There will be low light from the arson.
Right. That was explicitly part of the plan.
So yeah, Hippogriff might be timing it around when the Hippogriff is most able to take advantage. Might make sense. I mean, otherwise, you could potentially, if it's unguarded at night, there's the potential that releasing it actually wouldn't cause a problem because it would just fly away.
Right.
So daytime.
What do hippogriffs eat?
Not golems, probably.
Yeah, 2 of us are fucking safe.
Well, why don't you go to whatdohippogriffseat.com?
I don't think we get reception on the island. I mean, do they eat goblins? I think that's really the...
As I put, what do hippogriffs eat? Google autocomplete.
What did Google answer?
You.
The diet of the hippogriff consists mainly of insects, birds, and small mammals such as ferrets.
That is way less useful than I was hoping.
Hippogriffs are dangerous predators, canonically. They are definitely capable.
Yeah, no, this is the Harry Potter version.
Yeah, fuck
yeah,
that.
Fuck the Harry Potter version. It's definitely all kid-friendly and whatnot. Hippogriffs are dangerous animals. They're intended to be...
I mean, they're pretty dangerous in Harry Potter, too.
So are they in are they in like a puma type of like category?
They're like the size of a horse, right? Because half of them is.
Yes.
And
but they don't, I mean...
And they have like, a raptor's beak and talons.
At the proportionate size of a horse.
Yeah. So I'm thinking they eat goblins.
I think that they could definitely fuck a goblin up. I don't think they would necessarily, like if they weren't really hungry, go after a goblin. Like the same way that a puma wouldn't actually go after a human for most purposes, right?
Right.
But I wouldn't want it to come down to me and a puma.
Right.
Just my keys.
So you don't have to outrun the hippogriff, you just have to outrun the goblin.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're banking on Latchkey being able to do some amount of
communication.
Yeah.
It does seem that way. So just let me double check. So what's the full division of labor here?
It's really Rakashi and Latchkey doing the heavy lifting.
And so where are the rest of us situating ourselves?
Why don't you place yourselves on the map, actually? Right? Because
it's a good idea.
I'm gonna move Latchkey over here by the hippogriff. I'm going to move Rakashi up here.
And I feel like if things go bad, Ash can be on backup arson duty with all these piles of logs, which are harder to ignite, but will definitely put on a show.
Can Ash ignite things from a distance?
I mean,
Oh, yes.
I'm a sorcerer, so
So
Yeah.
I don't know if this needs to be a backup plan. There could just be fire everywhere.
I mean, literally, my whole character concept is that I'm a guy made of metal and wood who can set things on fire from a distance.
Let's embrace that.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
Lashkey, as long as you're okay with it, I'm going to put Yibdob over here with you by the Hippogriff because that
No,
would-
he's coming with me.
Oh, he's coming with you. Okay. Up by
Remember, we're
Cash.
looking
Oh,
for his
right,
friend.
because
Oh, yes, right. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
Are there any spots of elevation around here?
No, because it's been cleared. But as a reminder, this path is a trench. There's 3 feet of earth on either side of it.
Right, but there's nowhere
That's perfect.
like outside the direct area on the map here exactly that I could like get higher than
You could
no,
climb a tree.
hey Ash, you could ride the Hippogriff.
I am not sure if I'm in the right weight class for that.
I can give you a +5 for that.
I can give you additional
Oh.
+2.
Oh boy, that's really
We'll
tempting.
make a rider after you.
Hi, Yibdob. I'm glad we're on this side of the map.
Me too.
Hey, Rikashi. I
Mhm.
kind of pictured you more back over to the officer's tent.
That's where the officers are.
Are we going to attempt to all step on the top of the dais at the same time?
I have a feeling, out of character, that Latchkey needs to be there.
Yeah.
It's possible.
We should
Yeah.
hold hands.
I want
We
to
should-
point
we should
out that
hold hands.
Latchkey, actually, you can probably move the fastest or one of the fastest of the
right, because
players, right? At least right now, because of the
they can
teleport,
teleport.
ability, which will
yeah.
it will avoid the problem of the terrain.
Right. And so Simeon, you can teleport as well, can't you?
I sure can.
Okay. So is there anything that you can do that would help build on this mayhem that we're trying to create in order to keep ourselves from not getting killed?
Well, sure. I will go over to the other set of wood. Actually, no. It's kind of far, but I can do it. I'm brave. Let's put me over on the far west side,
Okay.
like I'm in California, where
Go
those
over
3 sets of logs are there.
As
Go to
if.
Arson in California, sure. Yeah.
Exactly.
Topical.
Well,
Not at all
yeah.
distasteful.
the red sun. So I will plan on setting those logs on fire with some of my magical abilities.
Sure.
And I'll plan on charging up the middle and holding the high ground.
No, duck, because it's 3 feet tall,
Oh, yeah.
right? So if you and Demertha both crouch,
So
they
if-
might not see
If I
you
just
at all.
run at a hunch.
If you take off your hat,
Never.
Pretend Demogorgon is behind you.
Okay, I think I have a sense of the plan. Arson, release the Hippogriff.
Yep.
Run.
And then run.
Yeah, popular children's game.
Okay. We'll just, in the interest both of time and of efficiency, I'll just sort of narrate how this is going to unfold. I think we're going to start with Rikashi setting fire to this tent, right?
yes.
Okay. Setting fire to the tent. That's easy to do. You just throw a torch onto it. It's on fire. It's a tent. It's not exactly flame retardant. That's the cue to light up these logs with our 2 spellcaster guys over here.
Mhm.
And then Latchkey is going to can probably use their staff to try and break the chains.
Mhm.
Magical strikes on the staff. And what are you going to say to the Hippogriff mentally?
I'm going to say we are here to help, but we ask your
Mhm.
help in return. Would you aid us in
Biting?
in by avenging yourself on your captors?
If you could kill a goblin on the way out, it would help me a lot.
Yeah.
Just a second. So the Hippogriff is very it's an animal.
Yeah.
Right. This is a smart animal. This is not a regular humanoid you're talking to.
Right.
But it gives you sort of a knowing look once it's aware that you're present, and it sees that you're prepared to break its chains. And The answer comes back, if you free me, I will help you, and you will have the gratitude of Henu Temipet.
Done and done.
Okay. Torch the tent, torch the logs, release the hippogriff. These things don't really require rolls. They're just attacks on objects with basic things you already know how to do. You have the means to do this without needing to make a challenge out of it. So that is successful in making the goblinoids scramble. Basically, the nearest goblinoids to each fire run there and start trying to figure out how to put it out. It's not good to have a fire in the middle of camp. That part is basically directly executed. There's the most focus on the tent because the tent's the most valuable thing, and things going to get them in trouble for letting it burn. You've successfully sown chaos here. The hippogriff, once released, flies over probably to the nearest group of goblins, which will be the goblins that are, let's say the goblins over by the logs that Josh just set on fire, and starts attacking them. So, yeah, good job. You started a fight. Everybody running to the dais now?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to see what happens to them first.
Okay. So, unless anybody else unless you're holding back, Brayden,
Nope.
you and Demirth will reach the dais first. Stepping onto it, nothing happens. Sarsimian is next. Stepping onto it, nothing happens. Latchkey, are you going to wait for Ash before you step onto the dais?
Yes.
Okay, then that'll give Ash enough time to get to the dais.
Boy, Rikashi is really going to be bummed when she has to deal with all of these goblins and hobgoblins, and we're chilling cool and safe in the cube.
Cube safety.
Cool and Safe in the Cube will be the title of this episode.
That or out of the frying pan into the
Arson
fire.
considered, rejected, and then considered again. But we'll see what happens. Assuming, Rikashi, you don't change your mind, Latchkey is going to step onto the dais without you.
I am willing to let that happen.
And when that happens, the aperture in the bottom of the cube opens, a white light shines down, and the 5 people standing on the dais disappear.
As I lead Yibdab back into the woods, I just say, "Huh, it worked."
And now, so this is where you appear. You appear in a room which is appears to be made out of some kind of a polished white metal. The ceiling glows with a fairly rich white light, although it's almost as bright as being outside in the daytime, although there's something slightly off about the quality of the light. The space does not have a lot of seams, although there are doorways with these sort of circular iris doors at the 4 compass points of the room. Square room, as I said. The dais is raised just as it was outside. It's basically a mirror of the dais that you're standing on top of, has the same 3-eye sigil on it. There are smaller, both shorter and smaller in diameter, platforms around you. There's a total of 8, marked 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then these letters, you'll actually have to get up close to them and read them to see what those markings are, just to tell them apart. They don't actually have the letters on them. You have to, but there is markings there. You just can't see it at this distance. So when you arrive, you're in a different space. Oh, by the way, this space is clearly roughly the same size as the cube is on the outside. Like it's not. This is roughly the whole area of the cube. From your perspective, you can see that you're in a space roughly as big as the cube is, roughly as tall, certainly roughly as wide and as deep. Looking to, again, what is from your perspective the south, so pointing down from the sigil. On the wall above the door, there is a big image. As you appear, there's a disembodied voice, a disembodied woman's voice, that says, "Greetings, Orgnention. Welcome back to the princess." That voice, Sarsimian, you recognize as Callista's voice. And the picture on the wall above the door at the southern end of the room, there are no pictures on the other three walls. The picture is of Callista. Specifically, it is the picture of her from that princess card that you have. It's the whole card. It's got the number. The princess has a value of 4 in the card set. It's that made up into a mural, basically.
Really?
I think we should cut it there.
That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or just telling your friends. Join us back here in 2 weeks for the next episode, and thanks for listening.
Well, it's not the Abyss. It's not Earth. I think it's too much to hope for heaven. This might be Modron.